Who would have thought it would come full circle? I muttered as I leaned back in my office chair, eyes fixed on the elegant envelope lying open on my desk. The envelope bore one simple line in flowing script. For the attention of Mr. Harrison, Esquire. My heart had been racing ever since I first opened it. My name is Daniel Reyes, and until a little over a year ago, I never imagined that the woman I once loved, the one who left me for a high-powered lawyer, would one day return to me. Not to rekindle something lost, but to pay me to handle her divorce from him. It sounds like the plot of an over-the-top movie, doesn't it? But believe me, this is my life, a twisting, unexpected journey of heartbreak, self-discovery, and ultimately, redemption. And if you'd told me back then that I'd be at the helm of her most personal legal battle, I'd have laughed nervously. Yet here I am, preparing for a meeting that will redefine everything I thought I knew about trust, love, and professional success. The fall. It all started on a humid summer evening that I still remember as if it were yesterday. I was sitting in a small, dimly lit bar on the edge of the city, nursing a lukewarm beer and trying to figure out why my phone kept buzzing with messages I wasn't expecting. There was an undercurrent of tension in the air, one that hinted at unresolved feelings and unspoken regrets. I had been in a relationship with Natalie for over 3 years, a bond one believed was unbreakable, built on countless shared dreams and whispered promises in the dark. We'd planned our future together meticulously, the cozy apartment in the city, the wedding that would tie our lives permanently, and even the quirky traditions we'd share with our friends and family. But in one fateful moment, everything unraveled. Natalie left me, and not quietly, or with a mournful goodbye, but with a single text that still haunts me. "I'm sorry, Daniel, I can't do this anymore. I found someone who understands me better." I spent days in disbelief, trying to piece together how the woman I thought I knew could make such a sudden, devastating choice. The truth hit me hard when I learned that she'd left me for Victor Grant, one of the city's top lawyers, a man with an impeccable reputation and a silver tongue who had dazzled Natalie with promises of a brilliant future she said was beyond what I could offer. I was devastated. The betrayal stung sharply, not only because I had lost her, but because I had trusted her implicitly. In our darkest moments, I questioned every conversation, every tender word, wondering if I had missed the signs. But through the bitter haze of heartbreak, something inside me began to shift. I realized that while I couldn't change the past, I could shape my future. I threw myself into my work at the law firm where I was starting out as a junior associate, determined to rise above the pain. Rising from the ashes. My days merged into nights filled with legal briefs, client consultations, and endless courtroom theories that blurred together. I remembered Natalie's parting words as a reminder that I was capable of more than I had ever allowed myself to believe. Slowly, the sting of rejection began to harden into resolve. I spent long nights poring over legal texts and drafting case notes, rekindling the very passion that had drawn me to the world of law in the first place. I wasn't just going to survive, I was going to thrive. I started to notice that my colleagues would look at me with newfound respect. Perhaps it was because I had begun to speak up more in meetings, sharing insights that stemmed from both my professional acumen and the raw emotion of my own story. I was determined to build a reputation on merit and integrity, a reputation that could never be tarnished by someone else's treachery. One afternoon, as I was reviewing a particularly complex case, an unexpected email popped into my inbox. The subject line read, "Invitation to discuss a unique legal matter." Intrigued, I opened the email to find a formal invitation from Natalie's family lawyer. The message was polite but direct, stating that Natalie had requested a meeting with me regarding her current situation. My heart raced as I read further. Natalie was in the midst of a bitter divorce with Victor and, apparently, had heard through the grapevine that I had built a name for myself in the legal world. She wanted to hire me to handle her divorce proceedings, a case that, given Victor's reputation, promised to be anything but easy. I couldn't believe it. The same woman who had shattered my heart had come crawling back, not to rekindle an old flame, but to seek my legal expertise in dissolving her marriage to the man she left me for. I felt a storm of conflicting emotions, anger, pride, curiosity, and a heavy dose of irony. Here I was, a former lover turned determined legal professional, standing at the precipice of a case that could either redeem or destroy us both. Contemplating the decision. For days, I wrestled with the decision. On one hand, this was a significant opportunity, a chance not only to prove my legal mettle but also to take control of a situation that had once broken my heart. On the other hand, it was deeply personal. Handling Natalie's divorce meant delving into the messy remnants of our shared past, confronting memories that still stung. I spent many sleepless nights debating with myself. Could I remain objective, or would the personal pain cloud my judgment? Finally, I realized that this was the moment to reclaim not only my professional reputation, but also to redefine my own narrative. I decided that if Natalie chose to pay me to handle her divorce, it wasn't a sign of weakness or a desperate attempt to come back to me. It was an acknowledgement of my abilities and a testament to the strength I had forged in the fire of betrayal. I reached out to Natalie through a discreet call. "Natalie, I received your message," I began, my voice steady yet measured. "I understand you're going through a challenging time with your divorce from Victor." There was a long pause before she replied, her voice soft and tinged with regret. "Daniel, I never expected to come to you. I know I hurt you terribly, and I'm not asking for your forgiveness, but I've heard that you've built a strong reputation in the legal field. I truly believe that you are the right person to help me navigate this." Her words were measured, speaking of distance and regret rather than lingering affection. I knew this wasn't about rekindling something old. It was a business decision, a professional matter where she saw value in my expertise. I agreed to meet her and her lawyer later that week. The meeting was arranged in a quiet conference room at our firm, where I had spent countless hours refining my skills. Natalie arrived with an air of solemnity, her eyes betraying a mix of sorrow and determination. "Daniel, I'm aware that I have no right to ask you this, given our history," she said softly as we sat down, "but I need your help. Victor is a formidable opponent, and I know that going through this divorce will be painful and complex." I listened, my heart gritting with memories of our past, yet my mind focused on the task at hand. "Natalie," I said, "this is not about us. It's about ensuring that you get a fair chance to rebuild your life. I'll do my best to help you through this process, with honesty, integrity, and the full extent of my expertise." Her eyes glistened with gratitude and a hint of relief. "Thank you, Daniel. I know this won't be easy, but I trust you." Crafting the case. Over the next several months, I threw myself into the divorce case with a fervor that surprised even me. I assembled a team of trusted associates, reviewed countless documents, and developed a comprehensive strategy to counter Victor's aggressive legal tactics. The case was intricate, involving complex financial arrangements, hidden assets, and a web of personal conflicts that spilled over into the courtroom. I spent long nights drafting arguments, poring over case law, and collecting evidence that would support Natalie's claims of unfair treatment and mismanagement by Victor. Every moment was a blend of professional rigor and personal catharsis. One particular breakthrough came during a deposition when I uncovered a series of emails that revealed Victor's attempts to conceal significant assets, a critical factor that could ensure Natalie received a fair settlement. The email chain, meticulously archived in my hidden folder of research and evidence, was irrefutable. It showed that not only had Victor been dishonest, but he had also actively tried to undermine Natalie's financial stability. I knew that this evidence, if presented in court, would turn the tide in our favor. I remember sitting in my office late one night, the blue glow of my computer screen the only light in the room, as I stared at the trail of emails. "This is it," I whispered to myself, "the proof that will make them listen." That moment of clarity was both vindicating and painful, a reminder of all that had been lost and all that needed to be righted. I documented every detail, organized the files meticulously, and prepared the presentation that would eventually be used in the final court proceedings. The final showdown. The courtroom was a cavernous space, filled with tension and the hushed murmur of spectators. Natalie sat quietly in the front row, her eyes locked on me with a mixture of hope and vulnerability, while Victor's team exuded confidence and defiance. I took a deep breath as I approached the bench, knowing that every piece of evidence I had compiled was not just about winning the case, it was about restoring a sense of justice and dignity for Natalie, and, in a way, for myself. When I began presenting our evidence, I spoke with a clarity and passion that came from months of relentless work and personal sacrifice. "Your Honor," I said, voice resonant and unwavering, "what we present today is not merely an account of financial discrepancies, it is a testament to the betrayal and deception that have marred this case. These emails are not simply documents, they are a record of attempts to hide the truth, to minimize a woman's rightful claim to her future. We ask that you consider these facts not in isolation, but as part of a broader pattern of conduct that has significantly harmed Natalie's financial and personal stability." The evidence was irrefutable. The courtroom listened intently as I detailed each point: the timeline of mismanagement, the hidden assets, and the deliberate obfuscation orchestrated by Victor. Every member of the jury seemed to lean forward, captivated by the narrative I wove, a narrative that was at once a legal argument and a poignant account of betrayal. I felt a sense of purpose, a deep satisfaction in knowing that the truth was finally coming to light. After days of intense legal wrangling and heartfelt testimonies, the judge delivered a verdict in favor of Natalie. It was a landmark decision that not only ensured a fair settlement, but also sent ripples throughout the legal community about the importance of transparency in divorce proceedings. Natalie's eyes welled with tears as she thanked me privately in the courtroom corridor, her voice trembling with emotion. "Daniel, I can't thank you enough. You didn't just help me win a case, you helped me rebuild my life." In that moment, I realized that despite the complexities of our past, I had made a profound difference in her future. Reflections and moving forward. In the months after the verdict, I sat back in my quiet office, reflecting on the journey that had brought me here. I had been haunted by the betrayal when Natalie left me for Victor, a betrayal that cut me deeply. But in taking on her case, I discovered not only my professional capabilities but also a deeper, more profound sense of purpose. I wasn't doing this for revenge. I was doing it because I believed in justice, in the power of truth, and in the possibility of rebuilding one's life after heartache. I continued to write about my experiences in a blog titled Justice and Redemption, Tales from the Courtroom, where I shared insights into the world of family law, personal betrayal, and the unexpected ways life can give you a second chance. The blog resonated with many who had faced their own struggles, people who had been left behind by those they loved, who had been deceived, and who were looking for a glimmer of hope that they too could rise from the ashes. Beyond the legal victories and the professional acclaim, I found that the case had transformed me on a personal level. It taught me that sometimes the most painful moments are also the ones that ignite true change, not just in our careers, but in our hearts. I learned that forgiveness is not about forgetting the past, but about reclaiming your identity and stepping boldly into the future. Every time I see Natalie smile, secure in her newfound independence, I am reminded that every hardship can become the catalyst for a brighter tomorrow. Today, I stand not only as a seasoned lawyer but as someone who has redefined what it means to fight for justice in the face of personal betrayal. My work in the courtroom continues to inspire me, and I am proud to say that I have built a reputation for integrity and relentless pursuit of truth. I mentor young attorneys, emphasizing the importance of keeping detailed records and the ethical duty we have to uphold the truth, no matter how painful it may be. In boardrooms and at legal seminars, I recount the story of how I discovered the hidden emails, how I confronted a betrayal that had once shattered my trust, and how I transformed that moment into a mission to defend the voiceless. My experience has taught me that true leadership is not measured by the accolades we receive or by the promotions we achieve. It is measured by our unwavering commitment to justice and our willingness to stand up for what is right, even when it means exposing uncomfortable truths. A final message. To anyone reading this, whether you are a lawyer or simply someone who has experienced betrayal in your personal or professional life, I offer this message: do not let dishonesty and deceit define your future. In the age of digital records and transparent communication, our work, our words, and our ideas are our legacy. Hold on to that legacy, document your truth, and never be afraid to challenge the narrative when it strays from honesty. I was once the one whose ideas were stolen by a colleague, whose hard work was appropriated without acknowledgement. Through determination, careful documentation, and a steadfast commitment to integrity, I turned that betrayal into a catalyst for transformation, not just for me, but for everyone in my company. I became the voice for transparency in our workplace, ensuring that every credit is given where it's due and every effort is recognized. Now, as I close this chapter and prepare to embark on my next legal battle, I carry with me the lessons learned from those turbulent times. I know that the road ahead will have its own challenges, its own betrayals, and its own moments of doubt. But I also know that every setback is merely a setup for a greater comeback, a chance to redefine who you are and to rebuild a future that is entirely your own. So, if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone takes credit for your hard work, remember that your truth, meticulously documented and courageously presented, is your strongest shield. Stand up, speak out, and let the records of your dedication and passion light the way to a future where justice and integrity prevail. That is my story, a story of betrayal transformed by the relentless pursuit of truth, a journey where the evidence of my hard work shone through, even when others tried to conceal it. I was hurt by a lie, I was almost silenced by deceit, but in the end, I took my destiny into my own hands. And in doing so, I not only reclaimed my career but also helped build a culture where honesty is the only currency that truly matters. May my journey inspire you to document your truth, to stand up for what is right, and to trust in your ability to turn even the darkest moments into a foundation for a brilliant future. Remember, in the end, the power of the truth is unstoppable, and so are you.